The National Popular Vote Bill will guarantee the presidency to the candidate who receives the most popular votes in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The Constitution leaves it to each state to choose the method of selecting its own presidential electors. Article 2 says, quote, "Each state shall appoint, in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct, a number of electors," unquote. 48 states currently have so-called winner-take-all laws that award all of a state's presidential electors to the candidate receiving the most popular votes inside each separate state. These winner-take-all laws are state laws. They are not part of the U.S. Constitution, were never debated by the Constitutional Convention, and never mentioned in the Federalist Papers. Only 3 states enacted winner-take-all laws for our nation's first presidential election in 1789, and all of them repealed them by 1800. In 1789, the legislatures of several states picked presidential electors without a vote of the people. The governor and his council picked New Jersey's electors. Presidential electors were chosen by the people from congressional districts in Massachusetts, by counties in Delaware, and from special presidential elector districts in Virginia. So if these winner-take-all laws were not the choice of the founders, how did we end up with winner-take-all laws in all but Maine and Nebraska today? In 1796, Thomas Jefferson lost the nation's first competitive presidential election by only 3 electoral votes, while not getting all of the electors from 3 Jeffersonian states, including North Carolina and Virginia, where the electors were elected from presidential elector districts. Even more alarming, the opposing Federalist Party won almost half the congressional districts in the 1798 midterm elections in Jefferson's home state of Virginia. That led Thomas Jefferson in early 1800 to write James Monroe, then a Virginia state legislator and later president, saying that while 10 states chose their presidential electors by legislatures or winner-take-all, it would be, quote, folly and worse than folly for the other 6 not to do it, unquote. The Virginia legislature promptly passed a winner-take-all law, maximizing the interests of the state's dominant political party, thereby guaranteeing Jefferson all of Virginia's electoral votes in 1800. Meanwhile, the Federalist majority in the legislature of John Adams' home state of Massachusetts became alarmed by rising Jeffersonian support in the state and repealed the state's district system, thereby guaranteeing Adams all of the state's electoral votes. The changes in Virginia and Massachusetts initiated a domino effect in which each state's dominant party adopted winner-take-all in order to maximize its power. After 10 states had adopted winner-take-all, Missouri Senator Thomas Hart Benton warned that winner-take-all was not intended to give, quote, fair play to the will of the people, unquote, but instead, quote, was adopted by the leading men of those states to enable them to consolidate the vote of the state, unquote. By 1880, winner-take-all laws had been adopted by all states. The National Popular Vote Bill is state legislation that would replace existing state winner-take-all laws with a new law guaranteeing the presidency to the candidate receiving the most popular votes in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The National Popular Vote Bill would not take effect in any state until enacted by states possessing a majority of the electoral vote, 270 of 538. After taking effect, all the presidential electors from the enacting state will be supporters of the presidential candidate receiving the most popular votes in all 50 states and D.C., thereby guaranteeing that candidate an electoral college majority and hence the presidency. Some defenders of existing state winner-take-all laws have argued that the national popular vote might be unconstitutional because it is state legislation as opposed to a federal constitutional amendment, overlooking the fact that existing winner-take-all laws were not enacted as a federal constitutional amendment, but instead as state legislation in exactly the way specified in the Constitution. State winner-take-all laws can be repealed in the same way that they were originally enacted, namely by passing a different state law. Some have argued that national popular vote may be unconstitutional because it is not what the Constitutional Convention had in mind, ignoring the fact that the statewide popular vote on a winner-take-all basis was not even debated by the Constitutional Convention, much less what the founders had in mind. Professor Norman Williams has argued that the National Popular Vote Bill might be unconstitutional because the states are limited today to using methods that have been used before, overlooking the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously rejected this so-called non-use argument in the leading case on the appointment of presidential electors. Williams has also argued that a national popular vote might be unconstitutional because it was rejected at one point during the debates at the Constitutional Convention, ignoring the fact that all of the presidential electors from every state in our nation's first presidential election in 1789 were chosen using methods that were similarly rejected at some point during the convention's debates, including choosing electors by district, by state legislatures, by governors, and even letting the people vote for electors. Some have couched their objections to a nationwide vote for president in terms of a democracy versus a republic, suggesting that a nationwide vote for president might violate the Constitution's guarantee clause, ignoring the definition of republic, which is based on, quote, the delegation of the government to a small number of citizens elected by the rest, unquote. The contrast between a democracy and a republic, as understood by the founders and as understood today, is that, quote, in a democracy the people meet and exercise the government in person, unquote, whereas in a republic, quote, representatives and agents, unquote, administer the government. The United States is a republic today and would remain a republic under a nationwide vote for president because whether or not a government is a republic is not determined by the method for counting votes used to elect the, quote, representatives and agents, unquote. Popular election of the chief executive is in no way incompatible with being a republic. Certainly the 4 states that were electing their chief executives by popular vote in 1787 would have never ratified a constitution requiring them to stop electing their governors. Some defenders of existing state winner-take-all laws would like the courts to read a restriction into the word state, saying that if nationwide vote totals were used to choose electors, then the state would no longer be appointing the electors. This argument overlooks the fact that the states of Nebraska and Maine currently elect their presidential electors based on vote totals from entities, namely congressional districts, that are not only not a state, but not even a unit of government. Indeed, states have been electing presidential electors based on vote totals from non-state entities since our nation's first presidential election in 1789. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld such state laws and dismissed attempts to read restrictions on the states into the Constitution's unrestricted language, and has ruled that the choice of method of appointing presidential electors, quote, belongs exclusively to the states, unquote. Williams has also argued that national popular vote violates a concept that one might call interstate equal protection, overlooking the fact that the 14th Amendment applies to disparate treatment of people within a state. Florida State universities charge students from Palm Beach County the same tuition as those from Miami-Dade County. However, they do charge out-of-state tuition. Indeed, the U.S. Supreme Court summarily affirmed an unsuccessful challenge to the winner-take-all rule on interstate equal protection grounds in Williams versus Virginia. If there were such thing as an interstate equal protection clause in the Constitution, then existing winner-take-all laws would be unconstitutional. Some have suggested that the National Popular Vote Bill might be unconstitutional because it guarantees a majority of the Electoral College will be supporters of the candidate receiving the most popular votes nationwide, thereby depriving the U.S. House of Representatives of the opportunity to choose the president in event of a tie in the Electoral College. The federal law setting the size of the House, itself approved by the House, resulted in an odd number of electoral votes for about a half of American history, thereby preventing ties in the Electoral College. If laws that have the practical political effect of preventing a tie in the Electoral College were unconstitutional, then the U.S. Congress was unconstitutionally structured for half of American history. Eliminating the possibility of Congress choosing the president is an additional benefit of the National Popular Vote Law, not a defect, and certainly not unconstitutional. In their attempt to uncover previously undetected constitutional restrictions on the states, opponents of national popular vote claim to be constitutional conservatives, while overlooking the 10th Amendment, which reserves to the states all powers not prohibited to the states by the Constitution. The National Popular Vote Compact is a constitutionally conservative, state-based approach. It does not alter the Constitution and does not violate the Constitution. It retains the Electoral College and state control of elections. Learn more at nationalpopularvote.com and from the book, Every Vote Equal, a state-based plan for electing the president by national popular vote, which can be read or downloaded for free or purchased from Amazon. You can help make 2016 the last presidential election in which 3/4 of Americans are ignored in presidential elections by emailing your state legislators at nationalpopularvote.com.